Someone dies. And suddenly, without instruction, without hesitation, we begin to perform. We light candles. We lower voices. We wear black. We send flowers. We gather, cry, remember, and eat. Across every continent and culture, humans mark death with ritual. We bury or burn, pray or play music, scatter ashes or carve stone. Even those who don't believe in an afterlife still feel the need to do something. But why? Why, in moments of immense personal loss, do we turn to tradition? Why not simply mourn in private, silently, and move on? Today, we're unpacking the psychology, sociology, and evolution behind death rituals, and what they reveal about grief, meaning, and the human need for order in the face of chaos. The shock of death. Let's start with the obvious. Death is disorienting. It disrupts not just lives, but narratives. You go from we die. From a shared story to a silent absence. This rupture creates what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. A mental discomfort when reality shifts suddenly and dramatically. Ritual helps buffer that dissonance. It gives you steps. Structure. Something to do when your brain is scrambling to understand what just happened. You might not know how to process the loss, but you know to wear black, or to show up at the wake, or to bring food to the grieving. Ritual, in this way, acts like scaffolding for shattered emotions. Grief needs a container. Grief is overwhelming. It can be chaotic, irrational, even frightening. Ritual gives grief a container. Anthropologists like Victor Turner and Arnold van Gennep have long argued that human societies use ritual to mark liminality, the in-between stages of life where people are not who they once were, but not yet something new. Death rituals mark the passage, not just for the person who's died, but for those left behind. Funerals, memorials, mourning periods, they help us move from shock to acknowledgement, from pain to integration. They say, yes, this happened. Yes, this matters. And now, we honor and adapt. Without this symbolic transition, grief can linger in a raw, unresolved form. The social function of mourning. But ritual isn't just for individuals. It's for communities. When someone dies, it doesn't just affect their inner circle, it ripples through networks, family, friends, coworkers, congregations, neighborhoods. Death challenges the stability of the group. It creates gaps, emotional, logistical, spiritual. Ritual helps the group recalibrate. It signals to everyone, a loss has occurred, and we're acknowledging it together. That shared recognition reinforces social cohesion. Even if we grieve differently, we still show up to the same funeral, wear the same symbols, or observe the same silences. These shared acts say, we are still a group. We still belong. And we carry this together. Symbol, story, and meaning. Humans are meaning-making creatures. When someone dies, especially unexpectedly, we struggle not just with pain, but with why. Why them? Why now? What does this mean? Ritual doesn't answer these questions logically, but it helps emotionally. Through symbols, flowers, candles, ashes, stories, eulogies, memories, and space, grave sites, altars, sacred grounds, ritual gives us a way to frame death. It can turn randomness into remembrance. It can turn pain into poetry. Even for those without religious belief, secular rituals, like planting a tree, writing a letter to the deceased, or holding an annual memorial dinner, provide a way to narrate loss, rather than be crushed by it. Control in the face of chaos. At its core, death is about loss of control. It reminds us that we're not in charge. That no matter how carefully we plan, we're all subject to the same ultimate fate. Ritual is how humans push back against that existential chaos. By deciding how we mourn when, where, with whom, we reclaim a sense of agency. We can't control the fact that someone died, but we can control how we respond. This illusion of control, while not total, helps restore psychological balance. It also helps future-proof our societies. When we have shared rituals around death, we're more prepared for the next time grief hits. Which, of course, it will. Ritual across cultures. Death rituals vary widely, but the universality is striking. In Japan, the dead are often cremated and placed in a family grave, with yearly visits for Obon, when spirits are said to return. In Mexico, Dia de los Muertos turns mourning into celebration, featuring altars, food, and festive remembrance. In Ghana, elaborate fantasy coffins are built to reflect the deceased's life or profession. A fisherman might be buried in a giant wooden fish. In Tibetan sky burials, bodies are left on mountaintops for vultures, returning the flesh to nature and the soul to the sky. These practices are wildly different in form, but similar in function. They give meaning to death and continuity to life. The rise of personalized ritual. In the modern world, especially in secular, Western societies, death rituals are changing. Fewer people follow religious scripts. More seek personalized, meaningful experiences, eco-burials, memory gardens, digital memorials. We live-stream funerals. We create Instagram tributes. We scatter ashes in the ocean, then tattoo their remnants into our skin. This reflects a shift, from institution to individual, from tradition to tailored meaning. But the need remains the same, to honor, to remember, to understand. Why funerals still matter? Some argue we've outgrown rituals. That funerals are outdated. That mourning is private. But when we skip the ceremony, the community, the pause, we often find grief harder to bear. Funerals, wakes, and memorials provide a checkpoint. A designated moment to feel, to speak, to cry, to laugh. They tell the nervous system, this happened. And now, we begin to carry it. Final thoughts. Ritual doesn't erase grief. It doesn't explain death. But it holds us while we figure out how to live with both. In a world obsessed with efficiency, grief asks for patience. In a culture that glorifies independence, death reminds us of interdependence. Death rituals are one of humanity's most ancient tools, not just to process loss, but to reaffirm life. They say, this mattered. They mattered. You matter. And in the quiet aftermath, when the flowers wilt and the casseroles stop arriving, ritual echoes forward, reminding us that pain shared is pain softened, and that memory is its own form of love. So the next time you find yourself lighting a candle, tying a ribbon, or telling a story about someone who's gone, know that you're doing something profoundly human. You're not just mourning. You're remembering. You're meaning-making. You're ritualizing the unbearable. So that life can go on, even changed. If this video gave you a deeper appreciation for why we grieve the way we do, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with someone who finds comfort in tradition. What's a death ritual from your culture, or your own life, that meant something to you? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to learn from your story. Until next time, be gentle with your grief. It's not weakness. It's proof that you loved.